Hey there, welcome to this course on Pachelbel's Canon in D transcribed for the guitar into the key of C. And why do we do that? Because it's just so much nicer to have open strings being able to ring, and we can have more of that if we put it in the key of C than if we put it in the key of D. If we put it in the key of D, we have a couple of consistent bar chords throughout the whole piece. So about 25% of the piece is then bar chords. And when we put it in the key of C, we don't have that. And so it just makes it a lot easier in the hand, and also it lets open strings ring out more, which has the tendency to make it fuller sounding and just lovely on the instrument. So that's why we're doing it. There are a couple of things to keep in mind before we even get started here. And the first is, what you'll find in this course is that I go really deep onto some of the musical issues and the ways to conceptualize and think about things. And so if this is beyond you right now, then that's perfectly okay. You probably won't get everything the first time through, and you don't need to. So if you're just starting out and just getting the chords for this first section, say, is going to be what you mainly focus on, then that's great, and you can focus on that. But if these chords are easy to you, then use this section in the beginning for a more advanced musical study of how do we propel music forward using our ideas of strong beats and weak beats and strong bars and weak bars and agogic accents and all kind of things like this. So if it's over your head, or if you don't get it, it's okay. It's not meant to be, you're not meant to get everything at the very first go necessarily. So be easy on yourself. If you don't get it, it's okay. You can come back to it in a couple months. That said, I would work as much with the dynamics and with the phrasing and everything as you can. Of course, if you can't play the notes, then it's all for naught. So you have to actually work those things out as well. But you can put it into the work that you're doing right from the very beginning. Just because you're playing something simple, like just a simple arpeggio or something, P-I-M-A. There's still things to think about in there. So don't write off the easy sections as easy, because there's a lot to be learned in there. Masterful playing happens in the easy parts. That's what's hard to play is the easy parts, if you actually bring a high level of playing to it. It's just something else that you can work on with those. One of the things that I do whenever I'm learning a piece is I go straight for the hardest section first. And so I'll either do that, or I'll go for a gratifying section first and then the hardest section. So depending on what you need right now in your playing, you could go for just a couple of easier sections, easier being in air quotes, just to, if this is what you need to be able just to hear it and feel a sense of accomplishment, then do that first. But then it might be nice to go and jump down to practice sections 6 and 7 and get into, this is all this right here. This is through here. This is when things get a little bit trickier. And because this is where most of the work of this piece lies, and this was what was going to take the most practice to get smooth and effortless and everything, then you could just go straight to that and then come back up to maybe the first section or the second or whatever it is. But the more time that you spend on this, once we go to eighth notes, the better. And so you might want to just jump down there first. That said, there's something, I recorded this from the beginning to the end, and so I'll refer back to things that I might have talked about earlier, and you wouldn't have caught those if you do that. So it's there's pros and cons to doing that. But in general, I like to go for the hard section first. So you may at least start looking at it and start putting it through the process of hands separately, right hand and left hand, getting the rhythms, things like that, just so that it's got longer to germinate in your mind, and work on those a little bit each day as you work on the next, on the other sections, on the first sections. So that's just a way of working that you may or may not like to go with. And the last thing I'll say here is that it's just really good to keep in mind that you're not supposed to learn this in a day or a week or even a month. That as we play guitar pieces, it takes time. It takes time for things to sink in. It takes time to really get the little details of how does this chord most beautifully switch to this one, and which notes do I hold on to make that happen, and all this. So how do I do my right hand fingering? How do I get my tone nice? How do I make that one note not pop out? These kind of things are just going to take time. And so think about this piece in like 6 months or something like that, so that you can feel good about where you are and you can just take the time for each little detail in each section without thinking that you were supposed to have already been done with this or that you should be getting it faster, because you shouldn't. If you were supposed to be getting it faster, you would have gotten something faster. It just takes the time that it takes. But we have all the time in the world because there's no deadline for us and no one gets hurt. Keep it easy for yourself and know that this is a long-term thing that you'll practice for many months. Give yourself that time perspective so that you can feel good about the work that you're doing and not that you're running late somehow or something like that, which is common. Best of luck with it. Have fun, and I look forward to seeing you as we get into the piece proper. See you there.